Many different types of barcode scanning machines exist, but they all work on the same fundamental principles. They all use the intensity of light reflected from a series of black and white stripes to tell a computer what code it is seeing. White stripes reflect light very well, while black stripes reflect hardly any light at all. The barcode scanner shines light sequentially across a bar, simultaneously detecting and recording the pattern of reflected and non-reflected light. The scanner then translates this pattern into an electric signal that the computer can understand. All scanner must include computer software to interpret the barcode once it's been entered. This simple principle has transformed the way we are able to manipulate data and the way in which many businesses handle record keeping. Well, in 2004 we integrated ticketing in southeast Queensland, so we have introduced a paper ticket that allowed you to travel across all the three modes in southeast Queensland, so bus, train and ferry. And the second stage of integrated ticketing is the introduction of a smart card, and the smart card will enable people to store a value, so to put a value on the card, and then to use the card for traveling around the system. For the first time, Japanese researchers have conducted a real-life experiment that has some traffic jams for no apparent reason. They placed the 22 vehicle on a single track and asked the drivers to cruise around at a constant speed of 30 kilometers an hour. At first, traffic moved smoothly, but soon, the distance between cars started to vary and vehicles clumped together at one point on the track, but the jams spread backward around the track, like a shockwave at a rate of about 20 kilometers an hour. Real-life jams move backward at about the same speed. The effect of the first difference is, on the one hand, to refine and enlarge the public view, by passing them through the medium of a chosen body of citizens, whose wisdom may best discern the true interest of their country, and whose patriotism and love of justice will be least likely to sacrifice it to temporary or partial considerations. Candace Galen is based at the University of Missouri, in Columbia. And, being a biologist, she thought, why not use this astronomical phenomenon to study a biological one? Specifically, as the skies darkened with daytime pollinators, like bumblebees and honeybees, call it quits. What better activity during an eclipse than to go out with a recorder and record the bees? Galen asked 400 citizen scientists, including young student, to place audio recorders in 16 flower patches along the path of totality, in Oregon, Idaho, and Missouri. When they analyzed the audio, they found that during partial eclipse, bee buzzing continued. But when totality hit, the bees went silent and only the conversational buzz of human observers could be heard. Then, as the moon passed and the sun again lit up the sky, the bees regained their buzz. The ocean has been getting bluer, according to study published in the journal Nature. But that's not really good news for the planet. It means that the plants that give the ocean its green tint aren't doing well. Scientists say that's because the ocean has been getting warmer. Along the way, we have built unashamedly beautiful buildings, two of which have won and been runner-up the prestigious United Nations Wood Habitat Award. The first time an Australian building has received that international honor. We rely on older concepts of Australian architecture that are heavily influenced by the bush. All residents have private verandas, which allows them to socialize outdoors, and also creates some defensible space between their bedrooms and public areas. We use a lot of natural or soft materials and beautifully landscaped gardens. If you're a senior citizen, music in the background might be distracting. But for younger people experts at multitasking, it's apparently no big deal. That it's according to a study in the journal Gerontologist. Researchers recruited 103 people, half between the age of 18 and 30, the others between 60 and 75. The volunteers then took part in memorization exercises and a drill where they had to quickly match a photo of a face with the same face in an array of unfamiliar faces. Some participants did the exercises in silence. Others performed the tasks while listening to white noise or instrumental jazz, blues, classical, and electronic music. Across age groups, the consensus was that the background sound was distracting, but only older people's performance suffered when the noise was present. For example, older folks who did the face matching with music playing remembered 10% fewer faces. The result matches up with the theory that the elderly are less able to filter out what's called distracting task-irrelevant information. In this case, the distracting info might have interfered with them storing the facial image in the place, much less impeding their ability to remember it a short while later. What is nanotechnology? Well, a report that was put together by a combination of the Royal Society and the Royal Academy of Engineering that came out last summer, identified two topics. Nanoscience is the study of the phenomenon and the manipulation of materials at atomic, molecular, and macromolecular scales, where properties differ significantly from those on a longer scale. Nanotechnologies are the design, characterization, production, and application of structures, devices, and system by controlling shape and size at the nanometer scale. So I'll talk a little bit more in a moment about what a nanometer is, but loosely speaking, people think of nanotechnologies as being a sort of 100 nanometers or less. Diagrams, numbers, and diagrams are highly abstract and condensed summaries of the world. They require a degree of mental effort to bridge the gap between them and the aspects of the real world they stand for. Approach them slowly and with care, allowing yourself time to get the feel of what you are looking at. Don't assume you already know what you are at. It's easy to be distracted by the surface appearance of a diagram, but we are really interested in the underlying message.